Picture two people sitting in the same break room at the same company on the same Tuesday afternoon in 2004. Both 25 years old, both making roughly the same salary, both complaining about the same things. Rent is too high, student loans are brutal, saving feels impossible. And then one of them does something so small, so unremarkable, that the other person doesn't even notice. He sets up an automatic transfer of $500 a month into a simple index fund. That's it. No stock picking, no market timing, no financial genius required. Just $500 every month, automatically. And then he basically forgets about it. 20 years later, these two people are still sitting in break rooms, but they are not sitting in the same one. One of them retired at 52 with more money than he ever expected to have. The other is still calculating whether he can afford to take a vacation this year. The difference between their entire financial lives came down to one decision made on one Tuesday afternoon that took about 4 minutes to set up. And the number that decision produced is probably going to surprise you.
My name is Sam, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial psychology, and why some people make one quiet decision in their mid-20s that completely separates their financial future from everyone around them while doing virtually nothing different with the rest of their life. If you want to understand the actual math behind what consistent monthly investing does over time, instead of just being told that investing is important, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up changing how you think about this. Now, before we get into the numbers, I want to address the thing that most people immediately think when they hear $500 a month, and that thing is, I can't afford that. And look, I hear you. $500 a month is real money. That's groceries. That's a car payment. That's a significant chunk of rent for a lot of people. But here's what I want you to hold on to as we go through this. We're not here today to debate whether $500 is the right number for your specific situation. We're here to understand what the math does with a consistent monthly amount over time. Because once you understand what the math does, you will find a way to find the number that works for you. Even if that number is $100, even if that number is $200, the mechanism is identical, only the output changes. And the output is going to be a lot bigger than you think.
Here's what most people fundamentally misunderstand about investing money consistently every month. They think of it like filling a bucket. You put money in, the bucket gets fuller, and eventually, if you put enough in for long enough, you end up with a lot of money. And while that's technically true, it completely misses what's actually happening. Because your monthly investments aren't filling a bucket, they're feeding a machine. And the machine doesn't just hold what you give it, it produces. Every dollar you put in starts generating its own returns, and those returns generate their own returns. And unlike you, the machine never sleeps, never takes a vacation, never calls in sick, and never asks for a raise. It just runs, quietly, continuously, in the background of your life. And over 20 years, what that machine produces will make the total amount you actually contributed look almost embarrassingly small by comparison. Let's run the actual numbers, because this is where things start getting almost hard to believe. You invest $500 every single month for 20 years. That's 240 monthly contributions. Total amount you personally contributed out of your own pocket over that entire 2-decade period, $120,000. That's it, $120,000 of your actual money. Now here's what the math does with it, assuming a 10% average annual return, which is roughly the historical average return of the S&P 500 over long periods. Your $120,000 in contributions grows to approximately $382,000. You contributed $120,000, you end up with $382,000. That means the market, the compounding, the machine running quietly in the background generated over $262,000 that you never had to earn, never had to work for, never had to think about. More than twice the amount you actually put in showed up automatically because you started and didn't stop.
But here's what makes this even more interesting, and this is the part most people skip right past. That $382,000 doesn't grow evenly over the 20 years. The growth is radically backloaded, and understanding why is the key to understanding why starting matters so much more than the amount. In the first 5 years of consistent $500 monthly investing, you contribute $30,000 of your own money. Your portfolio grows to approximately $38,000. The market added about $8,000 on top of what you put in. That's fine, not particularly exciting. But watch what happens next. By year 10, you've contributed $60,000 of your own money. Your portfolio is now worth approximately $95,000. The market has added $35,000 on top of your contributions. Now we're paying attention. By year 15, you've contributed $90,000. Your portfolio sits at approximately $190,000. The market has added $100,000 on top of what you put in. And by year 20, you've contributed $120,000 total, and you're sitting at $382,000, with the market having generated $262,000 on your behalf.
Do you see what's happening? In the first 5 years, the market added $8,000 on top of your contributions. In the last 5 years, the market added roughly $145,000 on top of your contributions. Same $500 a month, same 10% return, same you. But in the final 5 years, your money is generating almost 18 times more in market returns per year than it was in the first 5 years. This is compound interest doing what compound interest does. Slowly at first, then faster, then almost comically fast. And the reason most people never experience this acceleration is brutally simple. They stop before they get there. They invest for 2 or 3 years, see the modest returns in the early phase, decide it isn't working, pull the money out for something else, and never find out what the machine would have produced if they had just left it alone. Now let's talk about what $382,000 actually means in practical terms, because numbers without context are just numbers. At a standard 4% safe withdrawal rate, which is the rate most financial planners consider sustainable indefinitely, $382,000 generates approximately $15,280 per year in passive income. That's $1,273 every single month showing up automatically without you doing a single hour of work. Your rent, your car payment, a significant portion of your basic living expenses, covered by money that came from $500 a month that you set up on a Tuesday and basically forgot about. And here's the thing that will probably make you want to close this video and immediately open your brokerage account. That $1,273 a month in passive income is being generated by money that is itself still invested and still compounding. You are not spending down the principal. You are living off the returns while the machine keeps running, which means next year you'll have even more, and the year after that, even more still. But let's go one level deeper, because there's something happening inside that 20-year journey that most financial content glosses over entirely. There's a specific moment somewhere around year 11 or 12 where something shifts, where your portfolio starts generating more in annual investment returns than you are contributing through your monthly payments. Think about what that means. You're putting in $500 a month, $6,000 a year from your own pocket. But somewhere around year 11, your portfolio is large enough that 10% annual returns on your existing balance are generating more than $6,000 per year on their own. Your money is now contributing more to your wealth than you are. You have officially crossed from being the primary engine to being the co-pilot. And from that point forward, the compounding accelerates dramatically because it has a much larger base to work from every single year. This is the crossing point that wealthy people talk about when they say money makes money. It sounds like a platitude. It sounds like something people say to make broke people feel bad. But it is a precise mathematical reality that happens at a predictable point in any consistent investment journey. And the only variable that determines when you cross it is how large your portfolio is relative to your annual contribution. The bigger the portfolio relative to your contribution, the sooner the machine takes over. Which means the two most powerful levers you have are starting earlier and contributing more in the early years, not because the early years feel productive, they don't, but because every dollar you contribute in year 1 has 20 years to compound. Every dollar you contribute in year 10 only has 10 years to compound. The same dollar is worth dramatically different amounts depending on when it enters the machine. Here's something that will put this in perspective in a way that might genuinely change how you think about everyday spending. A $500 monthly investment isn't really $500. It's $500 times whatever the compounding multiplier is at that point in the journey. In year 1, a $500 monthly contribution has the potential to become roughly $3,360 over 20 years thanks to compounding. That's a 6.7x multiplier on every dollar you contribute in year 1, which means every time you choose not to invest $500 in year 1, you're not foregoing $500. You're foregoing $3,360 of future wealth. The coffee shop habit you have isn't costing you $6 per day. It's costing you the compounded future value of that $6 per day.
Now, I'm not saying never buy coffee. That's not the point. The point is that understanding the true cost of spending in compounding terms fundamentally changes how you weigh financial decisions. Not in an obsessive, miserable way, in a strategic, intentional way that naturally redirects money toward the investments that produce the biggest long-term return.
Now let's talk about something that will genuinely surprise most people watching this. What happens if instead of investing $500 a month for 20 years, you invest $500 a month for 25 years? Just 5 more years. Same $500, same 10% return. 5 additional years of the machine running. Your total contributions go from $120,000 to $150,000. An additional $30,000 out of your own pocket. But your portfolio doesn't go from $382,000 to $432,000. It goes from $382,000 to approximately $625,000. 5 additional years, $30,000 in additional personal contributions, but an additional $243,000 in portfolio value. Because in years 21 through 25, you have a $382,000 base compounding at 10% annually, generating $38,000 per year in returns before you even count your monthly contributions. The machine, in its final 5 years, is generating $38,000 per year automatically, while you're still only adding $6,000 per year. At that point, your contributions are almost symbolic. You're basically just showing up to watch.
And this is the part that tends to hit people the hardest. The difference between starting at 25 and starting at 35 is not 10 years of contributions. It is not $60,000 in additional money invested. By the time you reach 55, the person who started at 25 has a portfolio roughly 2.5 times larger than the person who started at 35, despite contributing only $60,000 more out of their own pocket. Time in the market doesn't just help, it multiplies. Every year of delay is not a year of lost contributions. It is a year of lost compounding on everything that follows. The math doesn't care about your reasons. It just runs or it doesn't.
But here's the most important thing I want you to take away from all of this, and it's the thing that actually determines whether any of these numbers ever apply to your life. The biggest risk to a 20-year investment journey is not a market crash. It's not inflation. It's not a bad year for the S&P 500. The biggest risk is you. Specifically, the version of you that exists in year 3 when the portfolio is sitting at $22,000 and doesn't feel like anything significant, and your car needs a repair, and the investment account is right there, and you tell yourself you'll restart the contributions next month. That moment is the entire game. Because the math we just walked through assumes 240 consecutive monthly contributions without interruption. Every gap, every pause, every withdrawal resets the compounding clock on that money and compounds the damage forward through every year that follows. This is why the psychological side of consistent investing matters as much as the mathematical side. The numbers are simple. The discipline is not. And the discipline is hardest in the early years, precisely when the math feels the least rewarding. When your $500 a month has produced $8,000 in market returns over 5 years, it is genuinely hard to feel like it's working. It doesn't feel like it's working because you're in the phase where you are doing most of the heavy lifting, and the machine hasn't gotten big enough yet to carry its own weight. But that early phase is where the foundation of every number we talked about today gets built. Remove it, and nothing that follows is possible. So here is what I want you to actually do after this video. Not think about doing, not tell yourself you'll start next month. Actually do. Open a brokerage account today if you don't have one. Set up an automatic monthly contribution, whatever amount you can genuinely sustain without disrupting your basic financial stability. $100 is fine. $200 is fine. $500 if you can manage it. The amount matters less than the consistency, and the consistency matters less than starting, because the machine can't run until you turn it on, and every month you delay is a month of compounding you can never get back. 20 years from now, you will either be the person who set up that automatic transfer on a quiet Tuesday and basically forgot about it, or you will be the person still calculating whether you can afford a vacation. The Tuesday is today. The transfer takes 4 minutes. The math takes care of everything else. $500 a month, 20 years, $382,000. Not because you got lucky, not because you found a secret investment, because you started, set it to auto, and didn't stop. If this video changed how you think about money, hit that subscribe button right now.
Every week on this channel, we break down the real mechanics behind wealth building. Not the generic advice, the actual math, the actual psychology, the stuff that makes a real difference over 20 years. And if you want to go deeper, the next video explains exactly why most people who start investing still end up with far less than the math says they should. The reason is one mistake almost every investor makes without realizing it, and it's probably costing you more than you think. The machine is waiting. Turn it on.